Adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 135. As always, I'm in the booth with the big three. Michael, the show Pirelli, Claudio, the voice Valenzuela, and I am Dave, the body, feeling like a 5 out of 10 today, Regina. Feeling a little sick.
Yeah.
The weather's a little, I don't know if it's the...
I don't think it's very ominous. It snowed. It was a nice morning.
It's my point, but being in New York right now, you would think that there's snow all over the place. We've been very lucky. So I can't really blame the weather.
Yeah.
But I am blaming the daycare center because I believe, as I grill you, I believe that these little kids, they just get sick all the time with everything. And then, they kind of just circulate it around.
100%. It's just an ongoing battle.
Oh, God.
And now that I'm feeling a little better, of course, Dave shows up with a little cough going.
Yeah, it's all right. But I mean, if you still saw me on the bench press, 315 for a little light work, you know what I'm saying?
Dave posts, he's like, didn't sleep all night, but, box of donuts. Let me cook 315 casually multiple times.
You know what it is.
I missed 2 days pretty
somebody actually told me. So we have a loyal listener out in Florida. His name is Jovan. Jovan came to Level Fitness to work out because he was in New York.
That was the guy this morning?
Yes.
My man hit you up and said, I'm in the area.
Correct.
Where was he?
So he is a nephew of a good friend, but he lives in Florida. So he was like, yo, you think like, when I'm in New York, I could catch a workout.
Weird. I never got that text.
But he told me, he said, listen, tell Mike he doesn't know me, but I said hello.
Oh.
He said he knows you for sure.
I'm a little insulted that he didn't text me to come work out in my basement.
It's very funny. So
the kids scare you away.
We were hanging out. He was around, and he said, it's kind of weird. Like he's like, I listen to you all the time, and I feel like I know you.
Yep.
But very, very interesting stuff. But no, hardworking kid, man. He got it in today. I had him doing pushies in the sauna.
That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it was good.
We should charge him for it now.
Yeah, right.
We'll send you the bill later. What do you charge per hour, like when you were training?
Depends on the
Let's put it out there. We're talking about making a little cash. What would you charge an hour if someone wanted to train?
Now is much different, but at the time, I've gone as low. At the time, I went as low as $25 a session.
Oh, too cheap.
And I was as high as $150 a session.
You gotta
so
get those
now,
numbers up.
no. Now I'd be between $100 and probably $200 an hour.
I'm probably charging $1,000 an hour to work out with me.
to walk around.
The sheer intel you're gonna get out of me.
Well, absolutely, and especially if you're showing somebody how to properly walk on a treadmill.
Oh,
unbelievable!
Especially with the slight toe indent.
That is value, Miguel.
I'm telling you, I think walking is the key to life. keeps me calm. You go for a stroll, you see the neighborhood, you see some properties.
All right, listen.
Since
you've stolen,
Oh, I thought it was 2 words.
Ambrosio.
Lynn. I'm like, who's Lynn?
Ambrosio, and you've become the poster boy here.
How does that feel, by the way? I meant to ask you.
Funny.
I had one good run for a little bit, and it was just
I'm
enough.
happy for you. I was the one, if you remember, I was trying to convince you to work with him. And you were like, no, I feel like I'm cheating. Remember, CV? I feel like I'm cheating if I hire this big brolic trainer.
Everyone was, yeah. Everyone was trying to convince me.
I said don't do it, too.
Right.
Because
CV was trying to convince me not to.
Because it was cheating, and now
it's not
cheated,
cheating.
and you won. And,
no.
If I'm drinking black coffee to win and throwing up on vacation just to hit the goal, sorry, AC, I shouldn't repeat that. I know you're trying to keep it very light.
Yeah.
You didn't do extreme things, but the text with me and him when he was like, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, CV, AC, I'm doing it. So he's like, just don't post about it. I'm like, I have to.
Dana told me a story. I guess you were on vacation or something. And I guess you wanted a drink, but you were like, all right, well, I want a tequila, so I'll take a shot of tequila and just not eat.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that in the promotion for AC, okay? I didn't see this.
A downfall of mine in general when I used to diet real hard is I used to still drink like I was 40 pounds heavier.
Right.
And I would just get obliterated, and it was not great. So I did that, and Daryl, my guy Daryl.
Is that Daddy Pumps?
Daddy Pumps, Big Daddy Pumps. He is the best. He hypes you up like we hype each other up when we go out. He hypes you up in your darkest of days. And that night was dark, and he loves it. He's like, when are we going to LBI again? I got to do another night
I
like
gotta
that.
come. Can I come on a family vacation?
100%. You're
Absolutely.
always welcome.
All right,
you
good.
actually came on a couple now.
Yes.
Didn't we meet up either
In
somewhere?
Jersey, I think. Jersey, AC, we did.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It was literally you and all the cousins. And me, obviously. But I'm
I
a
got in the
family
car and I'm
member.
like, hi, guys, I'm here.
Yeah. And we're like, where is everyone else? Just Dave and the cousins. So
Is that when he got lost? When the GPS didn't work, or is that a different story?
that was a
Oh,
different story.
God.
But similar week, same weekend.
man.
But yeah, long story short, yeah. I'm trying to be a little more modest these days and mellow and patient with results.
Sounds like a good topic for the day.
And AC
Patience.
did switch up my workouts, so they're less long and there's more flexibility. He
So you're
called
doing
me.
stretching workouts.
I know sometimes you're not supposed to give him input when no one asks, but he didn't ask, but I gave him input. He said he was open, and I was like, if you're open, I'm going to hit you with it. I don't even know if he announced it yet, but I was throwing some names out at him. And I'm not sure he loved them. He gave me the, oh, yeah, it's pretty good. And then we hung up. But long story short, it's a more flexible plan where, if you have 2 bad days, I can still make it up because that's what I was doing. So, when I would have a rest day, I would be like, all right, I missed Tuesday because Tuesday was missed, so I'm just going to do Tuesday's workout.
Yep.
Yes, you're a little more sore. It's not ideal. But now in this new way he did it, it's by body part, like push-pull day type thing,
Yep.
combos.
Right.
So there's more flexibility.
Good.
So
So I
Dave
know.
doesn't give a shit.
No, I do, and I'm happy for you.
He's about to charge you $200 for his next
That
one.
consultation.
We have to put Super Bowl predictions in the books. I know by the time this comes out, it's going to be over.
I don't give up. No, I'm just kidding.
But so I was rocking with the 49ers. They're out. They got hammered.
Why were you rocking with the 49ers?
Well, just because
Supporting a friend?
More Mark.
Yeah.
Mark is a big.
I'm
Niners
easily
guy.
influenced too.
And Philly, I didn't want Philly to do.
Oh, yeah,
they
that's true.
killed
I didn't
us.
think
So
of
I
that.
was like, So you got 49ers and you got the Chiefs, right? Patty Mahomes. What?
49ers got knocked out, no?
I mean, I'm sorry.
Chiefs.
Philly and
The Eagles.
and Chiefs.
Yep.
So you got Patty Mahomes, who I believe is going to secure the MVP,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Just of the league. I think he was doing that regardless. But I am going Eagles 33.
As a Giant fan, this is bad.
It is
I know,
bad.
that's
This is
really
bad.
To the Chiefs 24.
33-24.
So I threw it out there
Good
first.
guess. Good guess.
So I want to and I know by the time this comes out, the Super Bowl's already over.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, "You idiot! Chiefs won by 30."
Yeah.
I'm going to edit my response after the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
right. Mikey, what do you got?
I think Mahomes gets hurt
Whoa.
because he's already hurt, and I know ankles are tricky.
Yeah,
and he's a
but
mobile quarterback.
That's
He's
a bad
playing.
one, too. The high ankle sprain?
Yes. It's
bad.
You don't come back from that.
Listen,
Mike's got bad ankles.
I
He's
did it
got
on a
those-
golf. I did
He's
it on
an
a
expert.
He must have bad calves.
I did it on a golf course once. You ever hear that story?
What?
I shanked the ball and I was running to go get it. No, I shanked it, was running to go get it. I jumped into a pothole, rolled my ankle, couldn't walk for like a week.
Oh, boy.
This was a long time ago.
Oh.
Still get a little pain every once in a while. Yeah, so I think that's going to be a big factor. It was already a factor in the
Yes,
game.
it was.
The game I thought was closer than it needed to be.
Was
with
it
the
though?
Bengals.
Did you just see that dude like running at the end? Like
Yes.
his ankle was nothing? That is insane.
It's going to catch up.
He is
you know
a-
how
no,
he keeps
you're
pushing
right.
back. He's a competitor, but
Might
his
be-
magic
Might be under promising.
I think his magic is diminished a little bit because of the ankle. Would you agree?
Yeah, but he might be a little foo-foo on this injury. I'm
I'm gonna say it's a very underwhelming performance by the Chiefs. They get pumped,
pumped.
and it's like 28-7 is the game.
Eagles.
Yeah,
Okay, so we got 2 Eagles.
and
CV.
keyword pumped. So if
Pumped.
they don't get pumped, my description is not correct.
Gotcha.
So I am going to be a true Giants fan, and I will definitely not say the Eagles. So I will go Chiefs. And I like high scoring games, so I'm gonna say it's gonna be like a, I don't know. I'm gonna throw random numbers like a 38-22. I like your 22.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
I think both are incorrect. I've watched not a lot of football this year, so this just guess. I think
Well,
No, in all seriousness,
You're almost
the
better
Eagles.
off.
The Eagles are serious.
This is fun.
They-
The Eagles are just
Yes,
tough.
they are
They're-
serious.
I haven't watched any of their games.
They're just like a cult.
They're good, huh?
They are serious.
literally like a cult. And when they start singing, fly, I'm like, damn, bro, relax. No wonder why you pummel everybody.
It's a terrible
Yeah,
chant. I don't
it's
know.
horrible.
I don't want to offend anyone in Philly. Like,
Right.
I know we have a lot of Philly listeners. Terrible. Fly, Eagles, fly. Well, like, what does that even mean? Right?
Yeah, they're pretty soft. I don't know.
Well, Eagles do fly, don't they?
Yeah,
But
they do.
what kind of chant is that? Fly, Eagles, fly. Like,
They're not gonna run.
it's not that impressive to fly.
It's not like the fish climbing up the trees. Like,
But the Chiefs have like, oh,
Yes,
that's pretty sick.
yeah.
That's intimidating.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I like to always put that
You know
on,
what I was
on
thinking
record.
about? Through football, I think I have a lot of undocumented concussions.
Probably.
More than I actually thought.
I think any athlete that's in a contact sport has a ton of those.
Mike
that
was
you just
on
don't
the
know.
bowling team in high
I
school.
wish, dude. I'm a terrible bowler. I wish I was on the bocce team.
Dude
Get
played
it correct.
cricket and
Bocce.
literally
8-0.
cricket.
Me and Phil Catalano captains. 8-0. We
He's
did
not
play.
joking.
We did play
See?
a deli, so that doesn't count, I guess, in the FCAC.
Yeah.
But
And then weren't you MVP of that kickball team too?
what kickball team?
And wiffle ball you played?
No, we did play. We used to play kickball
There was no
on
contact
Thanksgiving,
sports.
and I have to say, I was kicking home runs left and right, and like I'm not athletic. I just overperform in situations. I've said it to Frank all the time. Like we've had a couple games where I get hot.
Yes.
I'm like J.R. Smith. R.J. Smith.
I'll give you 50.
Yeah.
Or
some
0.
days I'll give you like 6 threes in a row, and then I'll go cold.
Yes. Keep shooting, baby. Keep shooting.
But I like to keep people on their toes, so that works.
Oh man. All right. Well, a good chance.
Can we do quick fence talk?
Speaking on toes. Oh, go ahead. Talk
Quick
to me.
fence
Talk
talk.
to me.
I have to say, sorry, coughing in the mic. In building my fence, now I have this different lens to life. Now I'm looking at things. I'm like, how'd they build this? It's actually kind of fun.
How they build this?
A lot of things you'll just walk past, and now I'm really, really appreciating the little things and taking my time to kind of observe and be like, oh, it's built well. Like, I wonder who built this. It just adds to all this. There's a whole new world that I kind of put my blinders on to. And now that I'm opening up, I'm realizing how broad it is
Yes.
and how much I have to learn. It's been fun.
I thought of you actually.
Stevie's fence is incredible.
If
by the
we
way.
can get David on board with
Of
this
this?
trend, oh my! I
Well-
think the show will finally have
but
reached its.
I have a
Listen,
no snooze
superior
connection
heights.
here
Go ahead.
that I think, to your point, might get Dave on board. Okay, I was talking recently, and someone was like, "Why are you like doing that? Because like you're so efficient, you want to do all this efficiency, you talk all this nonsense on the other side of the spectrum." And in my head, I'm like, you know what? I put these limitations on myself, which you've talked about. And if I'm going to put a limitation in anything and think anything's possible and try to really prove that to myself, then like, yes, it's not earth shattering to build a fence, but for
No, it's
me,
pretty
it
good.
is. I
Absolutely.
mean, if I said it to any of my friends, they would laugh. They're like, wait, you
I
built
think
a fence?
anything that you're able to build yourself gives you
Confidence.
not only satisfaction but confidence,
Probably
And
sense
well.
of pride
And
too.
building a well.
and pride, and it
Yeah.
gives you also, I think, looking forward, and I guess that is confidence, is the ability to know that no matter what challenge or obstacle is coming your way, that you can solve out of it. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably
Yeah.
the biggest. Not that it's a fence; it's a
Yeah,
fence.
right.
You know, whatever.
And I don't do much that's very tangible anymore. So I think that's why I like to lift, is I like to do something a little more with my hands.
Yep.
Because it like real estate's a lot of phone calls. You're not like lifting and moving like it's very hands off, soft,
Yeah.
if you will. So it's
no,
been fun.
listen, I support you guys. You know that. My dad's the same way. My man has literally built. He took open floor plan in the basement.
Yeah.
And made 3 bedrooms in our old house, a
Yeah.
bathroom down there. He does
Yeah.
plumbing, electrical, all that stuff. More power to you. Let me tell you, my next level though to this.
Yeah. What's your next level?
Callie has been. She really supports me with this. So my father bought her this big Gabby's dollhouse for Christmas.
Okay.
Probably came in a box the size of this Husky tool shed that CV's got, which
It's a
is
nice
pretty
tool
large.
box, by the way.
I mean, it's pretty large. I don't know how.
This
How
is
could you
that's
possibly
legit.
have that many tools that you fit in there?
It's camera
Anyway,
gear.
I have 3 of them.
that's ridiculous. So it's probably that big. But I look at it
Wait,
and it's like,
how many donuts do you need to go to the gym?
how many donuts? All the donuts.
Exactly.
Yeah, all the donuts.
That's my point.
I hear you. So I'm looking at this thing, and it's like, over 300 pieces. What was the verbiage that said tools needed?
Some assembly.
Assembly not included. So I'm like, Callie, Uncle Maddie's gonna come over and build this for you.
Yeah.
So I get her on the phone. Uncle Maddie, Uncle Maddie. So sure enough, Uncle Maddie came and built this thing
Nice.
because I was not even opening it.
Yeah.
Wait, your
Yeah.
brother is handy too?
Yeah,
You don't enjoy that?
what
You don't
happened to
enjoy
you?
nice
I
IKEA
can't. So it's
builds?
not that I'm. It's not that I'm not handy. I don't have the.
It's get handy
I don't have as
2023.
much. It's not for me. I don't know. I don't
You're
have
not
as much
patient.
experience, but I don't like sitting there reading the directions, doing it. Like it's just not. It's not fun.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Half
enjoy
the
it.
time, most guys don't read directions.
Well,
I
that's
know I
silly.
don't.
I enjoy it.
No. So my dad was actually impressed. I forget what I did. Oh, I built brother Bill and I the gazebo at my house.
I talked to Bill. It sounds like you didn't build much
I
of it.
did a lot of
Sound like Bill
delegating.
did
I brought
most
the
of it.
Bud Lights out to him,
Yeah, yeah.
but I read the directions.
Well, remember when I
We did
first
it.
came, you were like, yeah, me and Brother Bill built it, and he kind of laughed. He was like,
I took pictures. He's on the ladder.
Yeah, he
my
was
man
doing
is-
it all.
He's doing everything.
Because you
But
bought the cement,
Good.
the quickcrete, if you will, to support the post
There
in
you
the
go.
potting, which is it's a cop out. You should have dug a hole
We're horrible.
42 inches
We're
in
horrible.
and dumped below the frost line. You
Re-
like those
below
terms
the
I just
frost
threw
line.
out?
It's pretty good. I took one of CV's recommendations, and also shout out to Jose Glenn Rodriguez, my Manhattanville College roommate, because he texted me and he's like, "Listen, have you seen Limitless?" I said, "Well, I haven't, but my boy CV was telling me about it, so I have to watch it now because you're both kind of telling me." So Limitless is basically a 6-part series with Chris Hemsworth, and he's basically striving for longevity. Stress reduction is episode 1.
Is it a docu-series?
It is. Yes, and it
Oh.
follows him for a year as he's on his quest to sustain a better lifestyle.
Amen.
Right? So he my Joel talk. So he does like all these incredible, challenges, and there's 6 of them that they put out in this documentary. But it is something that everybody should go and check out, because not only is he, I must say,
Ripped. Is he cute?
I mean, he's unbelievable.
He's Thor.
He
Thor, right?
literally,
Yeah.
he's a good looking
But
guy.
he's done a lot of different
You think
roles.
people
Wait,
feel this
did
way
you,
about me and you? No?
Did you watch the
Oh.
episode? But he has to do that one challenge, and he's also like working out for the next Thor movie.
Yes.
And I think it's like climbing a rope.
Yes,
which-
climbing the ropes. The
What
ropes.
are these
are-
self-imposed challenges?
no, it's Doctor. The doctor goes with him on the journey.
But
And monitors all of his levels as he's doing these things, and then she gives him tools to utilize, not physical tools, but like mental tools. And literally, it's as big. So one of the things in the beginning, they tie him up, they throw him in the pool to do like the Navy SEAL stuff,
yeah.
right? So where you have to control your breathing, you
This
go
to
down.
prepare for movies, though?
No.
This is
stress
just
level.
stress.
It's life. It's
Literally,
life.
do you know what the
Lifestyle.
advice this doctor gave him? I'm
Hold your breath.
making a joke. I'm making a joke here, but it's kind of true. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's like, reinforce yourself with positive thoughts.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
Yeah. Like
And my man is like, I can do this.
shit's
I
going
can do
down,
this.
and you can't
Do
give
they
yourself
tie
a
it in
negative
front
thought.
of your body or
Like,
behind
Yes.
your body?
In front of
In
you.
front.
Yes, in
So
front
you
of you.
can
and
like
your feet are bound.
you can squirm and like kind of like move.
But it shows
But,
you,
you know.
my point in saying that at that base level is it shows you that to really even do, we talk about it on a micro level, right? And fighting through your regular challenges of life and, giving yourself positive self-talk and little tools that you can utilize to better yourself. This dude takes it to the ultimate max, and it's still the same things that everybody talks about. So it has to be true.
That's 100% accurate.
Right?
You know a fun fact about this show? So through this show, through the doctors and all the tests that he was getting done just preparing for the show,
Yep.
they found in him a DNA strand in himself that was, I guess, linked to Alzheimer's. Right. And that's where a lot of it took a lot of shift
Wow.
in the way he was approaching this whole thing, which is kind of wild
Big.
to even be able to not diagnose, but know that it's in you, that strand
Right.
is in you, so that you can kind of hopefully.
Wow.
I'd like to build on this, and I'm looking forward to watching the show because I actually prefer more of a docu-series than a show.
There's a season 2 coming out. It's going to
Oh,
be
is
the
it?
Dave Regina story. Yeah, it's going to be very similar.
Well, they stole our whole idea.
Yeah,
This would be
literally.
great. This should be the No Snooze
The
Show.
No Snooze Show, exactly.
That's the name of our No Snooze Show.com shop. So we're talking ghosts and whatnot. I know Stevie doesn't like this. So we saw one in the past, Dana and I, at the same time. So for whatever reason, I've gotten hooked. I keep a guilty pleasure, a couple, right? I try to stick to one that I get obsessed with for a little bit.
Yep.
At one point it was Big Boy in California, big cartel gang, whatever the name it is. Now it is Sam and Colby, a ghost hunting show, which it's like their probably target base is probably like 15 to 22. Like it's definitely a little,
Fit right in.
immature, but they do a pretty good job of doing like the ghost hunting show reimagined for YouTube. And in one of them, they were talking about numerology. Do you know what numerology is?
No. Some with numbers.
The study with
Numbers, right? The study of
Yeah,
numbers.
I think so.
And basically, you take your birthday, and then it gives you a score of your numerology. And they think based on your birthday, it's like that other stuff, that some of your character traits are predetermined. One of the things is that Michael Jordan and Kobe are both called master number, which is 11, 22, or 33. So when you add all your digits up, if it adds to 11, 22, or 33, you're a master number. You don't reduce it anymore. But if it doesn't add up to one of those numbers, you keep reducing it down to one digit. Are you guys following?
No. So 1026, do that. What's that?
but
So
you're
that's
full.
36.
It's 10, 26, 19,
And then 89?
89?
Yeah,
all,
but the
all
whole,
your digits?
all
Add
the
that up.
digits. So
1989.
So how do you add that up?
So you do, what was the
Hold on,
first
let me
one?
get my
What was the
calculator
first one?
10
10, so that's 1,
Plus
because you reduce it down.
26.
Right? 1. 26, that's 8. What was the next one?
1989.
28, right? 19, 999. 199 is 10, 19, 8 is 27. So 2 plus 7 is 9. So you like that?
No, I'm
You're
so confused.
1, 8, and 9.
Okay.
Okay. So 1 plus 8 plus 9 is what? That's 18. And then 18. So you're a 9. Okay. So
I'm
whatever
so
the new,
confused.
I don't know what a
CB,
9
you're
is.
following him?
Yeah,
There's a,
I'm sorry.
there's
Yeah,
a reason.
When I
for
listen
this.
back, I'll be able to
So
get it.
I don't
But
know.
right now,
I don't
I'm
know.
lost.
Oh, you
But I
just
want to
add
go
all
where
the
this
digits
goes.
to
So we
make
got
one
9.
number.
So we
Okay.
got 9.
Okay.
So do you know what you are? So 9
do
is
that.
I don't know. We got to look it up. Numerology. We'll do that.
So each number has a specific meaning to it?
Yes, but the
Also,
whole
you don't know the
Like, do you
the meaning
believe
of
more-
his is?
well, the reason I'm saying this is someone posted that Kobe and Jordan were both 11s, and LeBron isn't the greatest because he doesn't have the master killer instinct of an 11. Because
Okay.
apparently 11 is called the master number. You're destined to be innovative, competitive, all that stuff.
Do you know what yours is?
Guess what your boy's
Are you 11?
number is? 11.
That's fire.
Can you do mine really quick?
But I don't know if I believe it. 'cause,
Right.
You know, I'm
That's
like,
good. That's awesome.
I'm not dunking.
What about like
I'm not jumping from the free throw line.
what about like Steve Jobs and stuff? Are those guys? You got to
I
add
don't
up
know.
their birthdays.
We got to look it up. But I do think
That's very cool.
there's something with numbers. You know, I definitely believe in something. I've just kind of opened my mind a little more lately, and just to like what is possible.
Yep.
And it's my thought is if we're on this crazy journey, everyone, then it's not that outlandish that there's other stuff in the works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So look at CV doing a little math here.
Yeah, he is.
CV's a lefty, huh?
I am. I'm trying to figure this out.
Oh,
11.
Oh, little nitro.
Well. So
Side note.
I'm sipping on Rise.
Yeah.
Right.
Say it right, baby.
Brewing Company.
Rise Brewing.
This is tell him Mike sent you. Right here.
My guy Jarrett McGovern invited us over. He's been following
Jared. What is it?
Jared McGovern.
Jared McGovern.
Run for Prezi, baby. That's a
Jared
great name.
McGovern 2024, baby.
Great dude.
There we go. Let me get a live sip. Let me see.
He had us over for a little tour. Gave me some merch.
Salted caramel, nitro cold brew coffee, dairy-free oat milk. How many miggies are in this thing? 90 miggies of caffeine.
8/29, 1980. So 8,
29. Yeah.
29 is 11, and 1980 I think is 9.
1980 is
9 is 10.
1 9
and then
plus 8.
18.
So 10. It's 18.
I can't wait to listen
So 18
back to
So
times,
this
the
yeah.
episode
total
and try
number
to
is
catch.
28.
So your number's 28.
The total number.
So
But you have
reduce
to-
down to 10, which reduces down to 1. 0 1.
Wait, how did you reduce down to 10?
No, it's not bad. 1 and 9 is not bad. It's just
No, no,
different.
no,
But
but
no, wait, how do you get in there?
How did you get from 28 to 10?
Because 2 plus 8 is 10.
Oh,
You're trying to get to one digit unless it hits 11, 22, or 33.
Gotcha.
So I'm a 1?
So you guys aren't the chosen ones.
The chosen one.
But I
So wait, I'm a 1?
yeah, I don't know what it is in numerology, but we read Dana's and
But
it was
wait,
somewhat
you're
close.
an 11?
I'm an 11. I did the math.
Wait, why is an
multiple
11
times.
not 2?
Because if it lands on 11, all your numbers,
don't change.
then you're supposed to not reduce it down because it's a master number.
You're a
I don't know.
master.
I don't make the rules.
No, I know. I'm trying,
chosen,
I'm trying to
CB.
understand.
I like this.
But part of me thinks that every once in a while when your confidence is hit, you just got to find some goofy
Yep.
numerology thing to kind of boost your confidence a
Yes.
little.
I'm a 1. What does a 1 mean?
None
one
of
in the
it's
heart?
bad. It's just you're more predisposed. It's like being a Cancer, a Pisces, whatever the hell they are, Taurus. What are you?
Scorpio.
Oh, Scorpio season.
Toxic.
Isn't that a term? Scorpio season.
Scorpio season. Yes.
But anyway, who knows?
Yeah, let's talk. All right, let's what was there? Oh, you know what? You and I were saying upstairs though about the girls and how they've just been catching on to things and their intelligence level is just through the roof right
Skyrocketing.
now. I mean, they're 2.5 years old.
They're out negotiating.
Right. Yeah. So just in that, there was one specific example of this that I was like, I cannot believe that Callie is this witty
tune.
right now. So we were at the bottom of a staircase and she turns around and tries to walk up backwards. I'm like, great. And you're doing what Uncle Mike does, Mike, when he comes downstairs.
Work on those
he does the
quads.
reverse. Yeah, he does the reverse. So I'm like, Callie, turn around, walk up the stairs. Why?
Oh my God.
Callie, it's not safe to walk backwards up the staircase. Turn
Good for
around.
knees though.
Why? Because it's not safe. Now turn around. She goes, if you're angry and you know it, clap your hands. And I was like, wow.
That's it.
Okay. And I just
you
burst
clap
out
your
laughing.
hands?
Yeah, I know, but I burst out laughing. But I was like, how did she sense? And then so she felt that I was angry. That's pretty easy. But then to articulate it into a song that she knows, but throwing a jab at me, right? Like, it was crazy for a 2-year-old. I was like, wow, man. All right.
It's almost like
Isn't walking backwards good though? It's healthy. Not healthy, but like it's good for your muscles. 'Cause
According
you
to
don't
my-
use-
I don't
good
know.
knees over toes guy. That guy,
Well, no,
he
you don't-
loves walking backwards.
you don't use those muscles all the time. So
Amen.
you know when you
I'm always
train-
moving forward. so
Aren't
that's
you
why.
the? Can I get $200 worth of value right now? Aren't you
He's gonna
supposed
start
to
not talking when we talk
Yeah,
fitness?
my daughter's going to listen to this and be like, you see?
And the camera's on you.
You know what I'm realizing is I almost think of it as like they're talking trash now, and you just got to outwit them. Like, you can't play into their game; you got to make them play your game.
Yes.
So like I'm trying to think of a good example, but like
you're gonna raise a sarcastic kid that way.
no, like this morning I was making eggs and Livy took a full egg and was like, I want to make eggs, and she has a little fake kitchen. So instead of like fighting it, I'm like, I'm gonna kind of go with it just so it's not a big
Yes.
like you gotta put your foot down for some things, but if you can kind of adapt and do it within reason.
And she's being pretty smart. She's going to the kitchen.
I'm trying to encourage her like being excited about cooking. She likes
Hopefully
to
you
cook.
had some hard-boiled eggs on deck.
We did
No,
not.
this was raw.
This was badly planned, but to your point, maybe I should do that in the future.
Just have a couple just in case.
Yeah, because then I'm like, oh, you're so outsmarting him in that sense. But like, I brought it to her turf, and then I'm like, all right, well, we got to bake this egg because you don't want to crack it because your pan's not big enough, this and that. And she was on to my shit. She was like, it's definitely big enough. Like, she looked at it, looked at me, and she was like adding it up, and she's like, I think it'll fit. So I was doing something else, but probably finishing cooking. I come back and she's cracked the egg in the actual pan.
Yep.
So I don't want to be like, you can't do that because that's
she's
the
doing it
correct-
right.
Exactly. And you don't want to be like,
But then
I
you also
told her,
probably
I
got
said,
a little bit of a mess.
I said, Liv, it's pretend, remember? So you
Right.
can't eat that, right? Because she kind of like was faking it, and she was looking at me
Yeah.
while doing it. I'm like, oh, well, give it to the babies, because I'm like, well, if you're gonna pour eggs
Yeah,
on,
pour it
on
on
the
the
baby.
babies.
And in my head, I'm like, if Dana comes down at any point in this, I'm in trouble.
Question about the babies.
Yeah,
How many babies do you think you got in this house? right now?
13 at least.
At least, right?
13 numerology, unlucky number. These
I'm
babies
telling you.
and spirits.
Babies
Get
everywhere.
what do they possess typically? Little girl dolls all the time, right? Any scary thing you've seen, there's a baby doll. We have so many.
Yeah, but Callie took mascara all over him.
Yep.
All over the JJs, and I name them all.
Livy's a little klepto though. She steals babies from
She
people's
steals them?
houses.
Oh,
She
boy.
probably took one from your house. You don't even know.
You see, now I got to talk to you real quick. But CV, let them know where you get this protein at.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NOSNOOZE30. Again, that's NOSNOOZE30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the Epi.
All right. So ironic that today on Epi 135, we're going to talk about the concept of developing patience and the importance of it. And I say it's ironic because I'll speak for myself here. I don't want to speak for these guys. I'm a very impatient person, right? But I have learned in business, as a father, in my relationships at work, especially, patience really is the way. I think patience has become the mindset, become a mindset for me, and really learning how to navigate through situations with a more open mind, right? But at a very base level, what is patience? What would you say is patience, Michael? Because it's
Control.
don't think too hard. It's the ability to wait. I mean, like, come
Don't
on,
think too
right?
hard. No, I was
ability to
gonna
wait.
say like controlling your emotion.
Yes,
It's
but
the
I'm saying
ability to
Like
have patience.
I think more.
Yeah, right.
I think more
that
of.
was exactly what I was doing.
I think
Very
more.
good, CV. Very good,
My
CV.
hat's pretty crooked.
Very good.
I was thinking more out of like running out of patience.
Right. Okay. No, but I'm saying just at a base level, right? It's the ability to wait, and then I think it becomes the ability for me to wait for something that you really want and need in a moment,
Deferred gratification.
right? And then level 3 would be waiting for that specific thing without showing visible frustration or irritation that makes you kind of act out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now I pass it over to you for patience.
What kind of transition is that? No, I the main thing when you even said the topic, my thought is like the patience with Livy, with Juliana,
Yes.
lack of sleep, clients, Dana, my own mind of getting impatient because I want to rush and get something done because I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it, versus being a little more light and not taking things as serious. I'm not saying you can't do a great job in all the areas, but putting the added pressure and anxiety of being anxious to do something
Right.
versus just trusting and having faith that you'll get it done
Yes.
and being a little more flexible has really been a big shift I've had to undertake in the last 2-3 years since the kids have came.
That's good.
Because it's you're thrown off of your schedule and little hacks, right? So I tend to lose patience, which I've been like I want to work on a lot more, is when I have morning appointments and no one's moving at the pace I want, so I can get organized, so I can decompress before my appointments. When I'm
you've
high
been up.
stress leading into the day, we've talked about, you just start off on the wrong foot. And sometimes when I try to will that,
Right.
my patience gets very short and I snap.
Yes.
And the Stoics say nothing good comes from losing your temper.
Very
And
good.
I patience for me has been a struggle and I think a Achilles heel in literally everything I've ever done. And although I think I'm kind of a black belt when it comes to long-term patience, the long game, day to day, I'm probably a white belt. I have no
That's
idea how those rank.
Beautiful. No, beautiful transition for me in the terms of day to day, because there's basically 3 types of patience or impatience, right? You have your day-to-day circumstances.
Yeah.
That could be your traffic. Lady at the supermarket is moving real slow. There's
Always happens.
I throw apples at them. There's I'm just kidding.
I like how you did. I throw apples at them whenever I see one of them.
There's long lines. So that's the first one is day to day. Then there's the one that Mike is referring to, even just as a father. That's called interpersonal relationships, right? Our interpersonal relationships at work. Could be a spouse, could be boyfriend, girlfriend, friends, whatever it is. And then the third one is bigger picture impatience, which you're saying you're very good at, which I will attest to, where most people, they look at the big picture of things. Working out is a very good one, right? You take somebody who's obese or overweight, and once they start thinking about down the line, they end up quitting because they're too impatient and they can't wait to get the results.
Yeah.
I ask myself a question. I say, when am I most impatient, right? You were vulnerable enough to say, so I will say as well. I think that it's in my relationships as well. And I don't know why, but I'm sure most would agree. For whatever reason, the people who I'm closest to experience the most impatient me.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that.
You know what I thought about when we got lost? And you were like, Mike, where are we going? I'm like, dude, I'm following the GPS.
Yeah, but if I don't know you, or if I'm just getting to know you, my patience level is through the roof.
Yeah.
It really is.
You have no expectations.
Right. But for whatever reason, I'm very weak when it comes to my closest people to me. And I show a lot of impatience, and I've noticed that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if is that the same for you two specifically, or no?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I'm least patient with my family, and 100%.
Right.
Where does impatience come from? And I think
word?
I agree with you. No, not the word.
Oh.
Like, how do you develop? Because there's people out there that are super patient.
I think you judge.
And then there's other people that are super impatient.
Right.
And then there's everything in between. And I agree with what you're saying. So I'm like that too. I get impatient too with the people close to me, but I also get very impatient with people. There's things that I'm patient for, which you would be like traffic on the road doesn't bother me.
Me too.
Somebody on the
What if you're trying to get somewhere though?
I mean, I get
always
antsy
late.
about it, but I'm not
Right.
frustrated at the person in front of
You're
me
just like what
as
I'm always
much.
late.
And does that happen sometimes? Yeah,
Right.
but where does that come from? What
right,
is that
so-
trait? How do you cultivate
So
that?
to answer that question, I mean, I look at it as triggers, right? Like what triggers I can't speak on anybody's, but what triggers my impatience for sure is when I begin to feel defensive, right? When I feel that people are coming at me, I get very impatient.
Mm-hmm.
When I get angry, I get extremely impatient.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to, put out all my bad stuff out
Just
here,
keep going, baby.
but I think it's I think it comes down to this. And when I'm getting better with it, but when I really want to sit down and articulate my thoughts and how I'm feeling in the moment, I used to believe that was me being weak. So I didn't do that. And instead, I acted out of impatience. And then I say and do things that I don't mean and I later regret.
Okay.
So for me, that's where it comes from. It's triggers that I've identified and have now been able to work on. That one with the being able to articulate my feelings, a lot of men in general, we think it's corny, right? It's just corny to talk about your feelings. If I never went to therapy 6 years ago when I first started this, I would never be at the level that I'm at today. And I'm still extremely impatient, as you can tell. But I have no problem, and I think you both can attest to this even on a professional level and a personal level. I have no problem sharing my vulnerabilities, right? Even when I am upset. But before, I used to not want to tell somebody how they made me feel because I thought it was a sense of weakness for me as a man.
I'm being patient in my response.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
I hear you.
Letting it breathe a little more.
Yeah.
You know? But don't breathe in the mic, right, TV?
Correct.
Very eloquent the way you said that. I'm thinking it from an angle of my impatience or lack of patience comes from lack of progress and lack of being present.
Present is a good word.
Well, I always get most impatient when I need to be somewhere or I need to be doing something else. Whereas if I just kind of focus on what was going on and then be like, all right, I'll just flip the switch when I get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can't just like be floating around all the time and not trying to get to your next appointment.
Mikey the floaty.
But there are times when like I could not be focused on this next thing I have to do and live in the moment. And I'm finding that is a trigger. And then also the lack of progress, feeling like stuck, gets me impatient. But I'm realizing the feeling of getting unstuck is focusing on the wrong stuff, focusing on the results that I have no control over, you know, like getting a deal done or like pushing something forward or getting a response where like all I can do is reach out to someone. If they don't call me back, they don't call me back. Yes, right. I can follow up, which I do, but I can't attach my emotion to their action because then it's a losing game versus just kind of focusing on getting that thing done. And whatever happens, happens. A lot of my impatience lately has come from comparing. And I do a pretty good job of not really caring or comparing. But when stuff is so like in line where like I'm 32 years old selling real estate and I see a 32-year-old guy on a show, podcast, talking about how he's invested $40 million, you can't help to feel like insignificant or lack of progress or... But what I've been able to do with grounding myself is like just keep telling myself like at the end of the day, if that guy's worth 200,000 or 200 million, it doesn't matter. So why does it matter if he's worth 40, right? If he's worth $1 million, it doesn't matter. At the goal's not a number. The goal is a lifestyle for me. And what I keep telling myself is like you chose this other path, so you can't compare yourself to people on a different path. You know, I have had a lot of one-on-one meetings lately with a lot of good agents, a lot of good people, and I like meeting them. And they always ask me, like, why didn't you go with like a big firm? You would do way more business. You do more volume. Like you'd get all these accolades. Like all these agents get like top 1%, top 2%, top 10%, big teams, this and that. And I kind of like looked at each one individually and I was like, it's not what I wanted. Like I'm not in it to be the number one agent on the number one team. Like I'm in it to build a portfolio, you know, do well by my clients, create kind of a lifestyle brand. And I have to retell myself that because it's hard because you compare yourself to people on a different path just because that's who's out there. There's no one really that I can point to that I see in our markets that I'm like, they're doing what I'm doing.
Right.
They're doing something close and similar, but at the end of the day, no matter who you're looking at, you know, for me at least, it's hard because there's a lack of a relative data point. But then again, it breaks down. It all doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're making progress on your path, that's all that matters. Right. If you're in a better position than you were the week before, a lot of my impatience will come from feeling like I'm not making progress on my own path.
Right.
When that happens, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because then that's a self-reflection of like, all right, well, why do you feel like you're not making progress? Is it the results or the lack of action? And I've narrowed it down to lack of action. Makes me a lot more anxiety-driven, impatient versus lack of a result.
Yeah.
When I don't feel like I'm doing things throughout the day, that's when I get most impatient. Because I'm like, at least if I did that mailer, I'd feel like I at least took something.
Right.
Versus you get stuck in a rut and you don't do anything, and then you're like, I feel like I didn't do anything.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, when I personally experience like the feeling of being impatient, it's a very bad feeling, right? Like, and I think most people would agree with that, right? Like, I mean, the anxiety, you know. So I was Googling an article about just patience in general, and this was very interesting. It says impatience doesn't just put you in a bad mood; it can have physical implications too. When you're impatient, your stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline soar, blood vessels constrict, and the acid in your stomach increases, resulting in physiological stress. That over time can actually kill you.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So the same stress, you know, when we feel stress is the same, you know, whatever they said with the cortisol and the adrenaline.
Well, trigger stress.
That right, correct. Impatience triggers that. And in that doc too, they spoke a lot of the cortisol for the Chris Hemsworth thing. They spoke a lot of that, and it's pretty cool because they break it down into the diagrams and they kind of show you. But imagine like there's this acid release in your stomach, and that's why even sometimes, especially with the Crohn's, right? Stress is a huge trigger. So when you get a lot of inflammation. So when you get impatient, that triggers the stress, and it's just a whole cycle. And I think that, you know, for me, led to a lot of, you know, for a lack of better word, but vomiting and diarrhea back when I was really, really bad. Whereas for some people, I think the stress might lead to weight gain, right? Like everybody kind of copes different, but it's crazy.
Mine's like a ping pong effect. It's like I'm stressed, so I forget to eat, and because I don't eat, I get more stressed because your cortisol is high or whatever. And then when you eat poorly because you're more stressed than you were because you didn't eat. Right. So it's like this ping pong thing.
It's crazy. When I get stressed, I want to eat.
Right. Yeah. I stress eat.
It like soothes like that weird need, whatever goes in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm bad because it's such a bad habit to have. You know?
No, I'm a stress eater, but I'm saying sometimes you're stressed and you're working and you forget to eat, and then you even eat worse because your stress level's even more because you haven't eaten. You know?
So what that cycle is, though, that's a scientific cycle right there, CV, because especially if there's any sugar involved in whatever you're consuming, that sugar goes directly to your brain, which then triggers the same thing. It's like a dopamine.
Stress relief,
It's like a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
So then that brings the stress down in the immediate. Right. But long term does nothing. It's like a Band-Aid.
Yeah. But that's how working out's good.
It's crazy. Oh, absolutely.
That manages the cortisol without the sugar high.
Exactly. This is I think patience. It seems, and it is, and I'm saying this. It seems not like I figured it out. I'm saying to me, it seems like it is the toughest thing to master in the world. Yeah. But I think it is part of a much deeper conversation about whether you react to things or you choose to stop, think, and then respond to things, right? Because it's our reaction or our response that shapes our realities and what happens next. So think about this analogy, right? And this just happened to me 2 days ago. Driving, I happened to be looking at my phone for a second, right? And not the best thing to be looking at your phone while you're driving, but somebody stopped short, but cut in front of my lane and stopped short. So then I had to jam on my brakes. So the way that I basically reacted to it was very inappropriate because now I'm going in the other lane. I'm speeding up. I'm looking at this dude like, what did you just do? I have my daughter in the car. So I'm engaging in this, right? And now I'm becoming impatient as it goes on. Whereas if I just accepted what happened in the moment, like the reality is, yeah, dude cut you off. But now it's my choice to get in the next lane, to speed up, give the dude the finger, force myself down that path that I don't want to go down. Instead of just like, wow, you know what? I jammed on the brakes, but thank God I'm safe. Thank God that my daughter's safe. That's a choice. So do we have the ability in life to react to things Or can we get to a level of something happens, we think about it consciously, and then we respond to the circumstance?
That's hard though. That's,
Of course.
So did you give him the finger or what?
Well, absolutely. I did wrong. I'm saying.
I put his ass in a headlock.
No, 100%. But then I caught myself, and this is where I'm getting good. Because,
Do you have road rage?
well, no, I wouldn't say that I have. I drive very slow. People
Me
always
too.
tell me, they're like, why do you drive so slow? I'm just not interested in
There's
the
no
fast
upside.
life.
For
But
me.
so I have
I'm not interested in the fast life.
I have an accountability thing because, especially through therapy, like, you know, when situations like that happen, it's on my mind. So I'm able to at least reflect back to it. Whereas years ago, I was just a hothead all the time, and I was never able to identify and pinpoint those things. And I am finding that there's so many more times that I am able to think clearly and then respond to something versus just my immediate reaction. Your immediate reaction is only off of the temporary circumstance. And the more familiar we become with that thought process, the better we can make progress on this concept.
I
Right?
also think if you're hungry, it's harder to. No, I'm 100% serious right now.
Yeah. Or tired. Right?
If you're tired or hungry, it makes it infinitely harder.
Yes.
So a step for me, at least, is I am conscious now about eating some type of carb in the morning, so that I'm at least, which because I read a bunch of stuff, is it like manages stress, helps manage stress.
You're reading the wrong shit. It's protein, not carbs, Mike.
Both. But carb was a big one. I don't know where the study was, but anyway, I actually feel it when I'm not. Even when I just eat the protein, and I don't eat like the healthy carb. I don't, for whatever reason, feel as clear. And I feel a little more on edge. Like there's something to me, at least, that when I eat, I have a little more clarity in my emotion. Absolutely when I sleep.
But eat clean.
Clean. You could, as long as there's something though. Like I could eat not ideal, but at least if I eat, I like the feeling of not eating and fasting and all that stuff, but I feel myself on edge, which is a good thing sometimes.
That's where the hangry term
Yeah,
kind of
100%.
came about.
100%.
Basically, you're hungry, so you're stressed,
Yeah.
and then you don't have the patience that you normally would have with others, which is where the term kind of came from.
Yeah.
So, ironically, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to finish talk because I'm
Finish it. Yeah,
curious.
go ahead.
It's actually a question. I started doing kind of an action that when I feel like I'm on the edge, it's not like walking away or like taking 7 breaths, but like something that is an activity that distracts me so that I don't do what I think I want to do.
I do.
Whether that's a client, Dana, kids, you know what I do?
What?
I walk away and I make a coffee. Because coffee for me is like my meditation throughout the day. Some shit's hard. I sit down, I pour myself a coffee, have a couple sips, and like, I'm going to figure it out.
You're just gonna.
You know what I've kind of
Do you have something
started
like
doing?
that?
Similar, and it kind of was triggered with a little bit of my anxiety. But I do these stupid games on the phone, which I hated doing.
I love games.
And I even still to this day, it's not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But that is almost like the only thing that distracts me
Yeah.
enough to like put away certain things, because I have a effed up mind, man. Like if I get on something, even if I try to I think I was telling you the other day, when I try to block it out, I may be successful to block it out in the moment, but then it comes back.
Yeah.
And then it just starts kind of ruminating, and it starts kind of getting, even when I work out, if it's something that's on my mind, I'll be working out and this is good. I'll be doing my exercise. I'm going to get focused. No, you know what I'm focusing on? Whatever goddamn thing was bothering me.
Yeah,
and then the entire workout, it's
Yeah.
just like negative crap. Just like,
You gotta.
you know?
But you have to strengthen that, just like a muscle, and that's where the real work says. I'm sorry, takes place. You want to finish on that?
So
Go
no,
ahead.
my bounce back now
Yep.
for like, and I use a lot of work stuff as an example because it's just easy. But like when a deal falls through now, I used to be prone to get emotional about it and like project it on the other agent. I'll still tell them how I feel about how they mismanaged the relationship and they didn't disclose what they should have, but I don't hold it against them, and I literally just move on. And I literally say to them, like, listen, you were a pleasure to work with, appreciate your hard work. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but we're just going to move on. And then when you get back to the client, they're heartbroken. So it's a hard conversation. It's, hey,
Right.
we lost the deal. You know, the people screwed us. There's nothing we really can do other than keep looking. So, I mean, it sucks. I'm bummed for you, but like, let's keep going. And then jumping into the next action of trying to get back out. Maybe they need to take a little break because it's emotional. But for me, it doesn't slow me down to do the next thing for them.
Right.
Whereas in the past, I'd be like, fuck. And then your day's kind of shot because you're in this bad mindset of like, even if we get a deal, we're going to lose the deal.
Yeah.
would
So
you
that's
normally
been a
go
little
back
better.
to that same agent? Is it like a reoccurring work agent that you kind of go back and forth?
So it's hard
in
because
your example,
So we deal with so many people, and a lot of the times there's only so much you can do, because at the end of the day, if the client wants to change their mind, well, we have to represent them. So I get that, and I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. If it becomes a pattern and happens multiple times with agents, I just know. And then you just take people for what they are. So one of the things I talked to Dana about when you have a convo is like, you can't get mad at people for being the way they are if you know that's how they are.
What if it affects you? Because I agree with
well, then you have to be smarter about it, right? Like if I know someone kind of BS's you to get like a better offer, and I'm coming in the second convo and they're telling me, oh, we have another offer in place, and then I'm like, they're full of shit. They don't have anything.
So
so you kind of learn people. But that's why I like selling just in Greenwich, because I know the agents. So when I get into these back and forths, like there's a lot of great ones that I'm like, I trust them. I'm giving them benefit of doubt, and if stuff goes sideways, then we'll take it. But at some level, you can't not trust anyone,
right?
Else you're never going to get anything done. Mm-hmm. So it's a balance, though.
Because I struggle with this.
Yeah, it's hard.
Similar.
Yeah,
and the reason I was asking about the whole agent thing is because, I when you're at work in a more traditional setting, you tend to operate with the same people, all the time. Mm-hmm. So when you're describing like the way that you work, it's a little bit different because you can, I guess it changes, it fluctuates with you.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Whereas like with someone like me that has the same contact with the same people,
you're interacting
like the office setting,
right? Then it becomes extremely frustrating for me. Yeah. This is where I lose patience. This is one of my triggers when I feel that people are either not holding their end of the bargain when it comes to like their work capacity. Yeah. And it affects you. Because if it doesn't affect me, I could care less. If you want to be a lazy bum and not do anything, honestly, whatever. Yeah. That's up to the boss to figure out why he's paying you. Yeah. But if it affects what I do or what I have to do, then I get extremely sensitive. Yeah. And then I get extremely impatient. Yeah. And it goes down such a bad wormhole for me. Yeah. Because I'm not trying to improve you just so you can be better. I just want you to get your shit done so that I don't have to have headaches. Because at the end of the day, I look at it as that. You not doing what you're supposed to do is going to give me a headache. Yeah. I don't want that.
And so part of it too, like the only thing I speak of is like in a deal, if you know that something's not going to get done, and yes, it would be great if the other person did it and took care of it like they said they were going to do, and you end up doing it anyway, you could be pissed off about it, but I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't have the time to like bicker with the person about they should have done this. I just go do it, and then it's done, and then if something goes sideways, even though I did it, right, it is what it is. Right. Because just the stress level of the position and the it's hard, and you do 7-8 of them at a time. It's like you can't be petty, else it's gonna be like acid for yourself.
It comes back to you, right?
Well, correct. Think about it. If I'm petty with 7 people I'm dealing with, like I'm gonna be dead at the end of the day. Like there's no good energy there. Versus like if I'm the one who's just kind of, it's hard to be, I'm not saying mad, but it's hard to not respect someone who just works hard and has a positive attitude, right? Like even if a person's not doing a great job, but you see they're working hard and they have a good attitude about it, you're at least going to say like, oh, well, maybe next time, maybe we don't use them, or we'll use them, we'll do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's unfortunate though, too, because even in an office setting, and to CV's point, some people just are at that level.
Some people suck too.
Honestly, and you can't bring more stress upon yourself because of somebody else's lack of ability to get something done. And him and I kind of have these conversations a lot, but I've gotten to a place in business where my patience really has risen, because the things that I know I can handle, I handle it even if I know somebody else should be doing it. Because I literally, in that moment, I put my head down and I say, you know what? What's the downside for me? If I have the time and the effort to do it, I don't even need to explain to you. But when the conversation comes back up, like you're sitting in a room and you're talking about the deadline and who was able to do it, I sit there and I say, yeah, I ended up doing it. Now, if people have questions, hey, why'd you do that? You didn't hold up your end of it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just saw that it wasn't getting done, so I went ahead and did it. Yeah. And it's tough, and you're not wrong for thinking that, but this is where I believe that we have the choice and we have full control. Also, something that has been majorly helpful. You guys know some personal things that have gone on in my life recently. I lean on those distractions as well, right? You mentioned a couple distractions with your coffee, with the games.
My fence is
and I have one that sounds a little silly, but I've been able to implement this through my sauna training. And it is breathing. It's breath work. But the breath work is very specific.
They say breathing is so good. Like
but it's so I was one of the people.
I'm breathing into the
I was one of the people that I hated the concept of if I'm angry or I'm impatient in a moment, you're going to tell me to breathe.
Oh, I'm like you too.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to tell me to breathe.
It's like those things, calm down, or relax.
So what I started doing though, because I've been reading about it and I want to get to that level, I started implementing this in my training in the sauna. Because it's a circumstance that I'm not stressed in a stressful environment.
Breathing in the sauna?
Right. So I just started practicing my breath work in the sauna. Yeah, that's good. So it's in for 4 through the nose, hold for 4, and then out for 8 through the nose.
That's the one I do. Oh, no, I do for the mouth.
All through the nose. Yeah. And ironic that Chris Hemsworth, his doctor, was saying there's a cycle of 4-4-4, and it's a rotating cycle. You're in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4.
Box breathing.
Box breathing, correct. So this is not that, and this was from a doctor that I had read about, and he was actually on Lewis Howe's podcast. But in his book, he explains what it does in the brain. I can't articulate it, but I know it was good shit. So I started trying it. I really started trying it in the sauna.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, time was just going by. But I did it for 15 breaths, like 15 rotations, and then I got up to 20 rotations, and then 25 rotations. But I did it as an exercise in the sauna, right? So then I started practicing this when I get really pissed off. But I didn't do 15, I did 5.
In the moment?
Yes. In the moment. But it's because I started to practice this in other circumstances and other environments.
If I just saw you breathing real weird like that.
But it just happened to me. So somebody I'm really, really close to in my life, I got into a heated environment.
Uh-oh.
And I had to remove myself. Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to do was throw my fist through the windshield. Mm. But what I did was I said to myself, it's funny you said 7 breaths, I did 10. And I did 10 repetitions of this stupid breath work that we're talking about. And the emotion that I felt during the first 5, I was like, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid. But something happened in the next 5 that I was like, I feel a little calmer.
Yeah.
So that one instance sold me on this process. So now I practice that. And then also now in parenting, I have one very specific one because, Mike, you know this well. There are so many times that like you feel defeated. And I'm sure as a mother, you feel defeated, as a father. If you're a single parent out there and doing it, God bless you. But in those moments that you feel that, I now take the AirPods and I walk around with them everywhere.
I love AirPods.
And I literally, are you guys going to laugh at me? But I put on light Christian music.
Why are you judging us?
In my ear.
What makes you think we
funny?
don't listen to light Christian music?
But it's because you look at me and you're like, oh, this dude's not breathing. This dude's not listening to worship music. And I'm not saying that that's
Dave,
the way.
I hate to tell you. I think a lot of people think you listen to Christian worship music.
That's very funny. But
I have noticed that, by the way.
what, my AirPod?
Yeah, I didn't want to ask you.
Oh, yeah.
Now I know.
Stop pissing him off. Though.
No, well, honestly,
he only does it when I'm in the room with him.
It's like he wears both when I'm in the room.
It's a big stress reliever. And when I feel impatient in general, like just driving and I want to rush somewhere, I throw it on. If I'm in parenting in that moment and I can't collect my thoughts and I want to freak out because I've done it a couple times to her and she gets scared at the level of intensity that I have towards her in a negative way.
Your daughter.
Yes. Yeah, and she has said to me, Dally, I don't like it when you yell at me.
That's what hits me the most is when I lose my temper and then they get afraid and you're like, oh.
It's bad. Yeah. And
by the way, your Dally voice is by far one of my favorites.
Dally.
That's exactly how she sounds.
Yeah, Dally. But so I've been moving with these 2 like distractions, one being the earphone with the, little calming worship music. I've tried jazz too, but it's just I don't really like it that much. Yeah, I've tried it.
Country gets me.
Well, there you go. Something like that. And this breath work, man.
You know what's a good one? Blues.
But the
I don't know if
key,
you're into it.
The key to that breath work, CB, is practicing it in an environment that you're not stressed.
So I was going to say something because I not only do I agree with what you're saying, but the more you talk about it, it makes that much more sense. But
the big breath.
This is the big breath. One of the things that I struggle with is making that time to purposefully sit and do that because I get impatient. You know, like I struggle. So when I needed it more, I was better about carving time for that. But as I slowly didn't need it as much, I slowly started gravitating away from it. So, and I'm listening to what you're saying, and you're like, oh, well, this guy already has carved in a sauna time, so it's a good opportunity to throw it in. And then I'm like, what if I say that? I know what he's going to tell me back. You have to be disciplined and make it time. Right. But that's so difficult when it's not part of your routine, not part of your habit, and you see it in a different way. And that's it's not a question for you to answer because I know what the answer is going to be. But it's a good concept. You know?
But so also we have to be accepting of the same thing with like motivation, right? We've said this a million times. You've heard this analogy about the shower. Like motivation is literally the same as a shower, right? It's something that you don't always want to do and you don't always have, but you know that if you don't work on these specific things or you don't wash your ass, you're going to walk around and stink. But you understand that analogy, right? So why is it that you in your life have the ability to wash your ass every day, even on the days that you don't want to do it? But you know for yourself right now, you're saying it on this podcast, that if you had a greater, what's the word? Not a temperament, but if you had a greater resilience, I guess, towards being impatient and you were able to be more patient in life, you would want that, right? Mm-hmm. But so we just have to work on it. And that's the piece that we don't even like think about these things. And if it wasn't for this podcast, we wouldn't be having these conversations.
Right. I mean, think about the habits that you form over, 30, 40 years that we're on this earth. And in this moment, could I benefit from it? Yes. Could I have probably benefited from it 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Most likely, yes, as well. But think about, for 40 years, in my case, going through the same habits and all of a sudden, and yes, it's good for you. So you know that you have to make this difference, this change. But it's a tough thing to change a habit that haven't really practiced over 40 years. You've actually practiced the opposite, to not care about that, not worry about that. And maybe life wasn't that, the impatience didn't really resonate that much then, because in our early years in life, things are moving around, the constants, like if it's bothering me today, all right, well, I don't have to see that person today or tomorrow, and it moves on. Now, after college and after whatever, you kind of start getting in the routine of your life, and those little triggers are kind of more, they don't go away. They're kind of there, You have to find I have an answer to that. Go.
And I think Michael might agree with this.
No shot.
Uh-oh. Michael should go first then.
I disagree.
You have to find a way and find the reason to make it mandatory. For us, I think we both have the same sort of like snappy, we could be nasty sometimes, and especially with the child. You don't want to do that, right? Exactly. If you don't have kids, that's okay. But find it in your life. Is it with your wife? Is it with your mom? Is it with somebody that you love that you just, you're a little bit impatient and they've told you, listen, I think that you need to, relax a little bit. Is it at work with certain relationships? Are you hearing the same types of things? When for you, and not talking to you specifically, but I'm saying just as the listener, when for you are you going to make it mandatory in your life to learn to develop the things that you already know? Because for Mike and I right now, the second that I grab Callie or I say, Callie, and she gets petrified, I feel in that moment, I screwed it up. So that's a moment that I'm like, this is mandatory for me to get better.
Yeah.
Right?
I go back and forth. Like when it's not planned, like when you're planning it and you're doing it strategically, you just put a little fear in them to get them back.
Right. Yeah.
But when you snap, it's a different feeling when it's not planned.
Yes.
Like when it's organized, you're like, you need some type of fear. I have to give my mom credit. The thing that I come back to nonstop now, which it kind of goes in lines with like, it all doesn't matter. A lot of it doesn't. But like every time I talk to her and like I'm venting and like being a bitch, she'll look at, I have to give her credit. My mom, she's empathetic, but also doesn't give a shit. Yep. Like you can complain to her and she doesn't care. She's like, oh, toughen up. So I'll be like venting, like the kid's in sleep 3 days. Like it's hard, this and that. Someone hit me in the drive. She goes, could be worse. I'm like, yeah, could be. And the moment you want to be like, shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But when she says it now, when I think about stuff and I'm like getting in my feelings, and it's 4 a.m., 2 a.m., going up and down stairs. Like, it's not that bad. It's like, it sucks, but it's not ideal.
Pretty bad in the moment, though.
In the moment, it's the worst.
It's terrible.
But then when you think about things, and like, we have friends and we have like family who've gone through a lot and still go through a lot day to day. I mean, I, in the grand scheme of things, am very lucky. Like, every day I should count my blessings. Every day I wake up, the gratitude piece you talk about, I should be the most grateful. Because in my grand scheme of things, I've had very little diversity. Or adversity. Diversity, too, I guess. I'm not very diverse. So her theme, when she says it to me, it could be worse, is something I tell myself now whenever I'm like in my feelings and I'm like, I don't want to get to a dark place thinking about that stuff because it bums me out. But when you think about it, like, we're really playing with house money a lot of the time. You know, no matter how bad it is, like, there's always a story that's way worse. You know, and you could always be way worse. And the fact they're even here is a positive.
100%.
You know,
well said. And I know your mom well, and I know that saying and when she says it. But also, we have to be able.
And she snaps all the time, by the way.
Yeah, but that's the irony of all of this. We have to really get to a place because you don't want to say that to yourself and be dismissive of your feelings.
Yeah.
Right? You want to say
balance.
You want to say it to yourself like it's not that bad, and then think of something in that moment that you are grateful for, or it could be worse. I get very
you gotta keep it moving.
I get very graphic. CV Mike knows this with some of my thoughts.
I don't like that.
You know, and
scares me.
No, and it's not it's not me putting
It's a
anything
tool.
into the universe. I
tapping
use it
into
to
the
my
dark
and I
side.
make sure that I don't say it out loud because they do say there's something that when you put things,
Yeah,
you know,
don't say it.
kind of out loud. But I do make scenarios up in my head, like, especially for me, I'll use myself as an example, right? You know, if you're sitting in traffic and really I was dumb because I didn't put the GPS on. It happens to me all the time and I should just be doing this more. But if I'm sitting in traffic and I want to freak out, I literally walk myself through the process of, well, if you just go rush and you speed and you get an accident and you die and your daughter can't have a father in her life, it's not that bad. Relax, sit your ass back down.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but you don't want to use it to just fake it. Right?
Yeah.
You want to use it to like try to put yourself in that mental. And then there's the times, and I'm sure this has happened to every listener out there, you're driving and you're really frustrated because you're sitting in bumper to bumper.
Yeah.
And then you get there, you see all the lights, and somebody is turned over in a vehicle.
It's a fair point. Could be worse.
It happens all the time. I'm on the Taconic all the time, 287, 95. You see it. And in those moments, you're not thinking, damn, I just waited 15 minutes. But really, if I told you, listen, if God came down and was like, listen, young boy,
Yeah.
in 15 minutes, you're going to see a car turned over and somebody just lost their mother. You'd be like, oh, shit, I'll wait 15 minutes.
If they're healthy, though, and I see them on the side, and I'm like, you
You're like,
really
God
couldn't
damn it,
drive
you
better
flipped
to
your
make
shit.
me late for my appointment?
Right. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's very hard to do in the moment. But if we just start becoming familiar with these things and the everyday things, you know, you just start coming up with little scenarios, little hacks, I think it could be helpful.
Yeah.
You know?
I get a lot of enjoyment out of meeting people that are like a lot more lighter.
Yep.
And when I use the term lighter, like, doesn't seem like much gets to them. And I'm like, and they're more successful. Like, not in a comparing thing, but they do well. So you're like, you're not just don't care about anything and not doing anything. You're doing a lot, yet you're very positive and upbeat. Like, what's your, you know? I get hope in those scenarios because sometimes you get in the mode of thinking like, well, if you're going to be a certain level of successful or like do something certain in your life, you're going to be a level of like an asshole or a level of impatient or like stressed or like, I'm not saying you can't take it all out, but there's hope that there's a way to manage it well.
Absolutely. Good. No, I love it. I think we're coming up on time. You have anything before we get into my favorite section?
I'm dying for this episode to end. I'm very impatient with it.
I'm very impatient with it right now.
We're testing you guys as listeners, by the way. If we were trying to extend it a little longer,
Yeah,
it'd
right.
be like, come on, all right, wrap it up. Make sure you get your gear, nosnooshop.com.
Shout 'em
Newly transferred to the new merch guy, Big Dave. So all the clothing might be a little more scandalous from now on because Dave's
I'm
in charge.
Going tight fit.
Everything's
Yeah, somebody asked me in the gym, they were like, what size is that? A small?
yeah.
My hoodie, I guess it looked a little short. I might have shrunk it.
I still think he changes out the tags. He buys like a large
Listen,
and
this
then puts
body
an XL
is
on it.
between an XL and a double X depending on the fit, okay?
Again, I will say the big anomaly.
The big anomaly. Listen,
Tails
so
worst
this will bring us to my favorite section, Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes.
as they fall. More dimes in my life, please, CV. Thank you.
Yeah, for real.
So this one I literally did jot down, and I wrote myself. I know that's a surprise.
we're gonna be patient with you because we're sick of this shit.
Yeah. This is
I'm gonna take 7
Dave's
breaths.
dictation, and it's just a thought that I was like having as I was preparing for the podcast topic. But it rings very true to me, and it's something that I feel very strongly about.
Sorry, I don't mean to make a joke
Go ahead.
of this whole thing.
No, it's good.
But every time you talk about having a thought and jotting it down, I envision you writing with like one of the old school pens and a feather.
With a feather?
Like
Yeah.
dipping it, like licking it and doing the, here's my thought of the day, like very formal.
So here's my feather fact for the day.
Like a little desk.
And again, just a thought. I'm a firm believer that my ability to stay calm is completely under my control and my responsibility. It's important for me to understand that allowing impatience to take over and influence my words and actions will have negative consequences on situations and relationships. And it's just a thought, but I truly believe that I am in control. It comes down, if you don't take anything from this episode, it really comes down to figuring out when you become impatient, when you become stressed out, whatever it is, when you get anxious. The majority of the time we make the wrong decision based off of an immediate reaction. Whereas we need to slow that thought down, understand that that's the temporary feeling. Feelings are super temporary. And then we can respond accordingly. Instead of doing it 100% of the time, do it 5% of the time. And just slowly, you get better and better and better. I'd say I'm at like 2% now, so I got about 98% left to go.
Pretty
a
good.
long way to go, but you know what I mean?
I'll take 2%.
Right?
Oh, you're not talking body fat? Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to shorten it up, you could say the only thing you control is your reaction to the uncontrollable.
Yes. That's good, man. React, right? Don't react. We got to respond.
I mean, you can react, but react the right way.
I guess. Whatever.
Do we just make a fact?
A
You don't
fact.
even know what movie that's from.
No, I don't.
Scary Movie 3.
Oh, man.
If a mouse goes outside, remember we talked about that?
If a mouse, no.
Jesus
You
Christ.
see, I'm the worst.
Someone give me a
with movies.
co-host
I'm
that watches
sorry.
movies.
We
just
should.
a stand-in.
We should do that. But guys, thank you for sticking with us. Hope you enjoyed episode 135, talking about patience. We are the most impatiently patient individuals you'll ever meet.
And if you made it to the end, you've won.
Oh, they made it.
Because you're patient and you waited for us to finish this whole thing. So Dave's going to send you some money or something.
That's right.
Not financial advice.
True. Listen, until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up, take a breath, and then get after.
Take 7 breaths.
10, I thought.
Yeah. Well, you said 7.
That's another Epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Come on.